All right, hello everybody. This was the hip and lower back mobility class. It was week 2, so we'll get started. I'm not going to do quite as many reps this time as in class, just because I don't have as much time right now, but I'll still say the sets and the reps, how much I want you doing at home for all this. So let's jump right into it. We'll get a warm-up going for the hips and the low back, single knee to chest, one knee at a time, pulling it up to the chest here, back and forth like that. When you're pulling that knee up, make sure that you're getting a little bit of a flex through the lower back. Feel that in the hip. Back and forth. You're going to do about 20 of these, so 10 on each side. Then after you get those 20, you'll bring both knees up and you'll pull those knees up to the chest. And see how my hips are kind of coming off the ground a little bit? Because I'm trying to flex that lumbar spine. So rotating, or pulling those up anyways, getting that flexion. You'll do about 20 of those, nice and slow, getting that flex. After 20 of those, what you're going to do is you'll keep your knees up, pull them up there, and then you're going to try to press your knees up towards the ceiling. So you'll push up, you'll resist with your hands, about 5 seconds, and then relax, and then you'll press 5 seconds. When you're doing that, you'll feel those muscles in the low back activating. You'll do 10 of those. Okay, and then after that, what you'll do is you'll keep the double knees up and you'll do a little crunch into that. So now we're getting everything moving from the top end. So we're creating lumbar flexion by curling up. This isn't that, you might feel it in the abs a little bit, but we're doing this more for the lower back, getting it moving. So you'll do about 10 to 15 of those. And then you'll bring the knees down and you're going to work on some pelvic tilts. So pelvic tilting, you're going to do posterior and anterior tilts. To do a posterior pelvic tilt, you're going to roll your hips back so that your lumbar spine is flat against the ground, okay? So like if you had a $100 bill underneath your low back, you're rolling your hips back, tightening your core a bit. You're going to hold that down. And then for an anterior pelvic tilt, you're just rolling everything, creating more space in the low back. So back and forth, get those moving. And you'll do about 10 to 15 of those. 10 to 15 meaning back and forward is 1. Then after that, you're going to get into the hip fallout. So make sure your feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width. Let your legs fall out to the side. Keep your shoulders flat against the ground. Roll into that. Try to touch your knee to your opposite ankle. Go the opposite way. So back and forth like that. And if you want to get a little more aggressive, you could take that bottom leg, cross it over, and push your knee down with your foot. Bring it back. Push down. You'll do 20 of those. And then after those fallouts, you're going to cross your leg over. We're going to do 3 hip stretches. I'll show you on this right side. So you're going to, first one is an outer hip stretch. You're going to take your hand, put it on the top of the knee here, or the inside of the knee, push that down, stretch. You can hold that for anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute and a half. The longer you hold it, the better stretch you're going to get. Hold that. And then after 30 seconds to a minute and 30, however long you want to stretch, you'll keep that leg crossed over, grab the back of the opposite leg, pull that up. And while you do that, you'll feel a stretch in those deep hip rotators. Pull that there. If for some reason you're not flexible enough to get to the back of your leg like that, you could grab your ankle, so left hand on the right ankle, right hand on the top of the knee. Pull the knee towards the right shoulder, ankle towards the left shoulder. So you're pulling everything up, and you should feel that same stretch like that. So same thing, 30 seconds to a minute and a half. The longer you hold, the better. Okay, and then after that third and final stretch for the hips, you're gonna pull your knee up and over. So I'm pulling my right knee towards my left shoulder on that diagonal pattern. The more you can pull it towards the left shoulder, so over across the body, the more you'll feel that through that piriformis muscle. And you'll hold that same timeline, 30 seconds to a minute and a half. Nice long hold. Really focus on getting a good stretch with all these. Okay. Then after that, we'll get into a hamstring stretch. Hands behind the knee. And then what you're going to do, you're going to keep your toes up. Keep the knee towards the chest. And you're just going to pump that leg up and down. And while you're doing that, you should feel stretch through this hamstring right in the back of the leg. You're going to do 30 of those pumps. Kicking the leg up. I'm going to do about 10. Okay. So after you get 30 of those, you're going to roll over onto your side. And you're going to do a lumbar roll. So for the lumbar roll, bottom leg's going to be straight. Scoot up just a little bit. Bottom leg's going to be straight. Top leg you're going to bring over the top. Bottom hand, hold the top leg down. And then I want you rotating your upper body leg. You might feel your back pop while you do this. Get a little release. And you'll rotate back into that. And then what I want you to do is play around with the angle of your knee. So the higher you bring your knee, the higher in the back you should feel this. Okay. So if you're tight, a little bit higher in the back, so like L1 area, just bring it up a little bit more. Rotate back into that. Feels like you're putting yourself in a pretzel. You hold that for about a minute. Then after you hold that for about a minute, make sure that you flip over, hit the other side, do that side as well. And then let me show you one other thing you can do with this. So I'm in that lumbar roll position, and I'm gonna do some shoulder circles while I'm in that position. So you can do about 10 of those, just rotating around all the way through, trying to touch the ground the whole time. If you have any shoulder issues and this is painful on your shoulder to do, obviously just don't do that. You can get a good stretch just staying in that static position anyways. Okay, but the shoulder circles you can add, and you can do about 5 to 10 of those on each side. All right, so next we'll get into child's pose. So hands out front, sitting back onto the ankles. Stretching that out. You should feel this through the lower back. Hold that for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then you can angle your hands over to the side to stretch out quadratus lumborum, stretch out the low back. Angle to the side, do the same thing. 30 seconds to a minute. Then you're going to switch. 30 seconds to a minute on the other side. Okay. And then from there, you can go onto your stomach. Go this way. So on your stomach here, hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to do a prone press up, or some people call it a cobra. Usually in yoga, I think they call it cobra. So hands underneath the shoulders here. Then one vertebrae at a time is what I want you to think about. So you're just gonna go into extension, one vertebrae at a time, extending back, nice and slow, pushing all the way up, and then back down. Extend one vertebrae at a time, all the way up. And you can do about 10 to 15 of those. Get a little bit of an arm workout doing that. Okay. Let's finish a few of those. I'll get this in position for the next couple. Okay, next one is called a Jefferson stretch. So it is a forward bend. You're gonna keep your hands on your thighs. And I want you to just slowly bend over. So this is like the opposite of that prone press up that we just did. You're just forward bending, one vertebrae at a time, until you get all the way to the ground. And then back up nice and easy. So as you're coming up, think about activating your core just a bit, squeezing your glutes on the way up, just to help. Just some people might get a little twinge on the way up. And nice and slow, all the way down to there. And then back up. Touching the whole time. So for those, I do about 10 to 15 of those nice and easy. Then after that 10 to 15th rep, you're gonna go all the way down, grab the inside of your feet, squat down a bit, and then I want you to just push your hips up towards the ceiling. Should feel a little bit of a stretch in your hamstrings, and you should also feel this a little bit in your low back if you're tight. Push and hold about 20 seconds, squat back down, push and hold 20 seconds, and you'll do 5 of these. All right, and then up nice and easy. Okay, so that was the quick version of what we did for week 2. Make sure that you do all the reps though, just to get everything moving. Week 3, we're gonna work on hips and lower body. So be a little bit different than this week, but hope you enjoyed that.